Hello, physio practice owners. If you want to know what worked in 2025 to grow physio practices and what didn't work and what's going to work in 2025 and what to avoid in 2025, then this is the episode for you. Hello, and welcome to today's episode where we're going to be summing up what happened in 2025. And today's topic is going to be lessons from 2024, what worked and what didn't work, right? So this is specifically, at the end of every year, we sit down and have a look as to all the things that we've tried and then come up with a basic plan of what obviously didn't work, what worked, and what we can do to improve things moving on to 2025 to grow your physio practice as well. All right, so let's get started. 2024 was a big year of lots of changes, right? And I would say 2024 was the first complete year where AI or artificial intelligence was a big part of when it comes to marketing physio practices. Now, 2023 was there as well, but 2024, in terms of implementation of AI, was a lot heavier and a lot more prominent. All right, there's a few lessons that we learned out of that as well. So I'll be sharing with you what those are a bit later on, right? And really, like I mentioned, this session is all about finding out what worked, what didn't work, what to avoid, and how to do things smarter, more efficiently, so you can grow your physio practice even more efficiently 2025 and beyond. Okay, so the first thing, as I mentioned, key lesson number one is the rise of AI. Now, before I say anything, I just want to make a big point. It's actually a key takeaway right at the end. It says AI assists. It's supposed to assist people. It's not supposed to replace people. And we can probably do another session, another podcast on this. But when it comes to AI, there's such a shortage of actual human power. It's never going to replace it. It's only going to supplement it. All right. There's actually a big shortage of skills when it comes to human skills. So AI is not meant to replace humans. It's supposed to help humans to make things a lot more efficient moving forward, get things done faster, quicker, obviously more accurately, and overall things a lot more efficiently. I want to make that point very, very clear. It's not supposed to replace humans. It never will replace humans. It's supposed to make things easier for humans, right? That's a big, big thing. Now, as I mentioned, 2024 was the first year where AI became a big player when it comes to marketing physio practices. And from the year, I can almost with certainty say, if you're not using AI in your physio practice, there's a big chance that you're going to be left behind in a big way, because the chances are the other physio practices, at least the ones that have a big vision and they're a bit more progressive and forward thinking, will be implementing AI. Because remember, it makes things a lot more efficient, faster, more accurate, things like that. So if you're not using that, if you're not doing that, there's a good chance that your practice is going to be left behind. So it's a big, big thing. It's a big game changer. Okay. So I guess the question is, how do we use it? Where do we use it? All right. Now, what I'll cover is a brief overview of exactly what parts, when it comes to marketing of your practice, that you can use it for. All right. So the first one is SEO. All right. So SEO, when it comes to a very, very simple way of saying it, is keywords, content, and links. All right. You've got to have the right keywords that you're ranking for. You've got to have content around those keywords, and you've got to have links, whether it's internal or external links. It's a must. All right. But one thing that AI can really help with is when it comes to the content, the content generation, the article generation, right? This is where, tools like ChatGPT can really be used, right? It can't be abused, though. You still need to humanize that content, because if it's just AI content, it's going to be likely penalized in the future because it's AI generated, right? So Google's aim is to make sure that these bits of blogs and articles and any content that you create through AI, it really needs to remain what we call highly user relevant, original, humanized, and it must convey a sense of expertise and authoritativeness on the topic. All right, there are Google and other search platforms will use certain filtering systems to see if the content created is AI or not. Right. So, like I mentioned, AI doesn't replace people; it just helps do things faster and more efficiently and accurately. So you still got to use AI. In this case, ChatGPT. Maybe it's one of the tools you can use to create the content, but you've got to humanize it still, so it's not flagged by Google and other search engines. Because at the moment, right, search engines like Google, maybe even Bing, they bring in a lot of new patients. People are still searching for physio practices and physios and services on Google and search engines. So we still need to make sure our presence is pretty heavily there. Now, I do believe moving forward, AI will come into places like ChatGPT, will be a place that we may need to advertise moving forward because a lot of people are using that service as well. But what I'm trying to say is when it comes to SEO right now, we need to be creating content in a smarter, faster way, but still humanizing it. It's very, very important. All right. Now, Google Ads. When it comes to especially because Google Ads really has, it has many components, but the component that you can have the easiest and the fastest impact on is text generation. So the actual, the copy and the wording of the Google Ads, right? And the image generation. All right. So as you can imagine, there are lots of AI tools out there that you can use. ChatGPT is one of them that you can use to generate all of the, copy for the Google Ads. All right. Maybe even images to put on, Google Display Network or retargeting ads. All right. You can create, instead of having to wait for a graphic designer. All right. By the way, graphic designers are still very essential to make sure that we get the right product sometimes because AI is, although it's still advanced, there's still a couple of holes here and there to make that it needs to be looked over by a human to make sure it's ready to be out there, so to speak, right? So you can use AI to create the copy and all the little writing that goes in Google Ad along with the images as well. It's very important. Things are getting faster that way. So this is a hack that every physio practice must look at because you can test things really, really fast because there's a tool to do that, to generate all the text and copy and things like that. Once again, Facebook ads. There are lots of components to Facebook ads, one being the actual, once again, the text or the copy of the Facebook ads. There is obviously imagery there as well. And there's videos, and there are now platforms that accurately create videos for you as well. All right. But at a very, very basic minimum, we can be using, AI to create the copy for the Facebook ad, given the right inputs to create the copy that we need. And obviously the images for that as well. All right. And as you can imagine, it just makes things, instead of having to wait for a copywriter, all right, maybe 3 or 4 days or whatever it is, it can be done almost instantaneously by AI in terms of copy. Once again, what we find is you can't just rely on the output of these AI machines. You still need to look over it. You still need to humanize and adjust it so it hits the right message. Remember, AI does not replace people. It just makes things faster. So you can't cut that part out. All right. You still need to, it just helps you to create those things. All right. And we talked about content creation, in terms of copywriting. You can even create audio now or certain soundtracks as well. There's lots of tools to do that. So maybe if you want to come up with a certain soundtrack for, a video that, somebody's getting treated for lower back pain or Pilates or something like that, you can use AI to create audio. Right. And there's ones to even create video, like I mentioned. Okay. So there's a whole lot of tools out there. And like I mentioned, if you're not using them, it's high time that we have a look at using them, because if you're not, like I mentioned, big chance that your practice is going to get left behind. Right. Now, these are just some of the areas. These are the big ones at the moment for physio practices, right? SEO, Google Ads, Facebook Ads. There's obviously email marketing as well, which Once again, it's more copy. There's images and videos, audios, things like that you can put in there that you can use AI platforms to create all that content, all right, which makes things faster for it to be checked by a human being, right? So the biggest takeaway is, remember, AI is really there. If you want to think of it, and how we think about it is AI is like an assistant that is there that, you can give it instruction to, and it comes up with the result much faster, much more efficiently, perhaps even more accurately, because it can do all that grunt work for you. It never should replace humans. It still needs to be checked by someone to make sure that you're putting things out there. For example, it's compliant with APRA, and all the physio bodies around the world is compliant with their standards as well. So someone needs to still check through it. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, the importance of cancellation policies. Now, typically what I find is, as a physio practice gets bigger, all right, even actually right at the start, one of the key things is physio practices in general, they have a cancellation policy, but they don't tend to enforce it for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons we hear is they don't want to upset the patients. They don't want to get them offside, all that kind of things, which is completely real and legitimate reasons. But if you really look at the psychology of a cancellation policy, right? If you think about what you do as a physio practice, is you're selling time, all right? You're selling your time with a physio or massage therapist or whoever that therapist is. You're selling time and the expertise, which means once you lose that time, so if somebody cancels, with no notice or late notice, you can never recover that back. Right? That time is gone forever. That means you've lost, you have crystallized, or you've got permanent loss of revenue. All right. So loss of revenue and wasted time is quite a big thing. So it really, really must be, right? It needs to be, you need to think about this in a psychological sense. People tend to follow through with things. I'm just not talking about patients, but people in general, they'll follow through with things, or they'll do things, or they'll want things that are generally valued, right? If it's not perceived as valuable, the need to want them or carry through with them, in this case, like an appointment, will decrease, right? So it's just, the cancellation policy is not there just to increase the revenue, all right? Although that's what it does. It's really there to make sure that your patients will see the time that you have booked out for them as something valuable, all right? That's the biggest thing. There's a cancellation policy. What we typically find is, if you cancel within 8 hours, all right, there you must enforce some sort of cancellation policy, whether it's the full price of the appointment or 50%, or depends on what you're comfortable with to start off with. But, what we find is 8 hours, all right, at least 50% of the appointment is then, that's a cancellation fee. Because what that does is, like I mentioned, is shift someone's psychology to make sure that it's something valuable, all right? It's something valuable to them that they can't get rid of. If there's a saying, if you get something for free, and even if you pay something for it, even if it's little as maybe $1 or $10, even if it's the same thing, if you paid something for it compared to getting it for free, you always tend to value it a little bit more. Same thing, all right? One is for free, the other one you paid a little bit for, you value it a little bit more. So what will happen is a couple of things. When you do this, the person who is going to cancel, or who may cancel, firstly, they see it as something really valuable, all right? Because of that, you'll find the cancellation rates will lower. That's what typically happens. That's number one. And number two is, even if they cancel, there's revenue for you, all right? That's something that we covered. And because there's a very clear cancellation policy, number three, let's just say, is 8 hours, all right? And the third thing is, they'll give you enough time, because they see it as valuable, right? And they don't want to pay the cancellation for the fee. The patient will give you, the time within that cancellation policy that you have to actually replace somebody into that revenue. So those are three things that you really get by having a cancellation policy, right? People find it more valuable, therefore less likely to cancel. And even if they do, you don't lose revenue completely. There's revenue that you generate, right? And then, like I said, people will cancel within the cancellation policy, allowing you to fill someone in there as well. So it's a big, big thing. All right. It's a big thing. And, just in case you're wondering, this is going to upset your patients. The answer is yes, it will. It will upset the wrong patient. What I mean to say about that is anyone who doesn't value your time and would like to willy-nilly cancel the appointments, they're probably not the right patient for your practice. All right. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, who would you want to treat somebody who doesn't really value you or your physio's time? Probably not. If you don't find that valuable, they're probably not going to get the results that they're looking to really get by coming to physio. So the answer is yes, you will lose some patients, but more importantly, way more importantly, you start to attract the people that truly do value your service. So whenever you do put a cancellation policy in place, like I said, what's good and what works is 8 hours, 50% of the fee. That is pretty reasonable. All right. That's not unreasonable. Any normal, reasonable human being would think that is actually quite okay. Anyone who doesn't, like I mentioned, you probably don't want them in the practice anyway. Okay. That's cancellation policies. Number 3, one of the biggest things is and there's quite a rise of physio practices, which I think is really great. Right? We're getting, as a physio industry, there's a lot more impact that's created in people's livelihoods. But the thing is, the old saying of build it and they will come. It cannot be any further from the truth. It's a myth. Build it. Just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. In other words, just think about it. If you got an ankle sprain, all right, and you're not a physio, you don't have a practice, and you're looking to get physio, all right, you type in physio near me, and there's lots of physio practices. How would you choose which one to go to? Now, there are several things we do. There's obviously Google reviews, social proof, all that kind of thing. But there is one thing that will cut through the noise very, very fast and get them to not even think about anything else except that one thing. And that one thing is offers, right? And what I mean by this is if you really think about it, right? So if a patient is looking for a physio practice, and there's lots of physio practices out there, how do you differentiate between them? And an offer is one thing. Now think about what I mean by an offer is think about, for example, the last time you bought something that you had a lot of choice to buy. Maybe it's a mattress, maybe it's a pair of shoes, maybe it's a TV, I don't know, whatever it is. If you really think about that purchase, especially when you had a lot of choice, all right, there probably was one or two, maybe generally one thing that stood out to you about the thing, about the person or the company that you went with compared to everything else or everyone else. And that's typically an offer. Now, this is something that I believe is going to become very important moving forward, right? Now, an offer, right, it shouldn't just be about price. It's not like 50% off. Don't play the price war, because the only way in a price war is down. You can't keep discounting. It's just not going to work. Focus on creating value instead. All right. That means price becomes irrelevant. Really find out what your patients want and what they want to avoid and all the pains that they don't want to go through. All these things will combine to give you an offer that's unique to your practice. So it is totally possible to have all the practices around the world, and even if they're clumped together in a very small space and they are effectively competing against each other, it is still very possible for all of them to have a unique offer that speaks to their patients, right? To your patients. So the key to here is you've got to really find out what your patients truly want from coming to you and what they're looking to avoid, right? And knowing these things will help you create offers. All right, that's one big thing. And if you think about it, then if you have this strong offer, you can blast this everywhere. You can put it on your website, you can drive traffic to it, right? You can put it on Facebook ads, you can put it on Google ads, you can be retargeting ads, you can have it on email marketing and reactivate your new patients through this as well. it becomes the one message that you put out to the entire, I guess the pool of patients that you're looking to attract. All right. It's the one message. When you have a strong enough offer, everything else typically becomes invisible. They don't care about your website. They don't care about the Google reviews. They don't care about anything because the offer is so strong and is very particular to that person. That's the only thing that they use to make a decision. Much like that example I talked about, whatever you bought when you had a lot of choice, that becomes the one thing that really drives a purchase decision. All right. So like I mentioned, your offer is literally the single biggest thing that will drive growth. And what you'll find is it's likely that it's going to get copied. All right, that's part of normal business. So you'll have to come up with new offers or maybe repolish it or regress the offers as well every so often, 3 to 6 months, okay, to keep it effective. You can make sure it's fresh as well. So offers is a big, big thing moving into 2025 and beyond. All right. Next thing, the power of A/B testing. Now, with everything, obviously we don't have enough time to go through everything right now, but with everything that we do, when it comes to Google Ads, when it comes to SEO, when it comes to a landing page, when it comes to, creating audio, when it comes to headlines, when it comes to an offer, every single piece of your marketing, all right, or your message to your new patients will need to be A/B tested. All right. Now, if you don't know what A/B testing is basically you're running 2 experiments, all right, of the same thing with one small change or one small difference between the 2 tests to see which one's affected. Just to give an example, something that we do on a very regular basis with is, for example, Google Ads. All right. Now, Google Ads, let's just say, what appears and appears. All right. We'll typically run 2 ads that are running at all times to see which one's performing better, right? And then we choose the winner and we put another competing test as well. So you're always refining the Google Ads. And I'm talking about every single aspect, right? You change one small thing, that maybe the image that appears on the Google Display Network, all right? Or maybe, like I mentioned, it's the heading of a landing page, or it's the way your offer is written down. All these things, you must run A/B tests. It's a big, big thing that I don't see physio practices doing enough. They just think they're going to build it, they're going to keep it, and we got a winning formula, or at least we got a formula, that we're going to keep things running. It doesn't work, all right? It'll go to fatigue, all right? So you need to keep testing these things all the time. It's very, very important, okay? And like I mentioned, it's up to you as to how frequently you should test these, but we test everything very regularly, all right? There's a lot of things that we test, but you should be doing things at least once a quarter. Big things, just to see what's working, all right? That's a big thing. And like I mentioned, keep testing it, keep looking to find what's working, what's not, and keep polishing it up. You're almost like a scientist in an experiment. You're running an experiment to see which one works, which one doesn't work. So, and you're carrying this all through. It never stops, okay? Okay. So those are some of the things that we picked up in 2024 that we knew that we had to change and carry forward into 2025, right? So remember, the first one is AI. We must use AI moving forward. Otherwise, likely you're going to get left behind, right? Cancellation policy, 8 hours, 50% of the appointment fee. It's a good place to start, right? Offers, like I mentioned, it is the one single message that will cut through all the noise and speak to your patients so loud that they'll ignore everything else and they'll focus only on that offer to get you more new patients, all right? And then A/B test everything that you have. You can't just put something up, or a website up, or Google Ads up, or Facebook ads up, or whatever it is that you're putting up, and keep it there. It will go stale. It is just normal human psychology. It will not stick anymore. So you got to keep A/B testing as well, all right? So use these lessons to move into 2025 to, grow your practice even faster. So I hope that was useful. If you did find that useful, go to our website, physiomarketing.co, that's .co. There's heaps of articles and videos like this. There's checklists, there's free downloads. And if you want to book a time with us as well to see how you can grow your practice to that next level and beyond. When you go to the website, physiomarketing.co, there should be a button on the top right-hand corner to say book a call. Go there. Always happy to help you out. Use those lessons to your advantage in 2025. And we'll speak to you soon.